On this week's edition of The Overtime, it's Basketball Crosstown Rivals Week. We will look at the two matchups between the Coconino Panthers and the Flagstaff Eagles as they battled on the hardwood. First, we will take a look over at Coconino High School girls basketball team to see how they played this last game. Then, jump across town into how the undefeated Coconino boys team were able to sustain their winning record. All that and more on this edition of The Overtime. And thank you for joining us, and welcome to this edition of The Overtime, Northern Arizona's only sports show. I'm your host, Michael Manny, joined by reporter Hannah Ware. Hannah, are you ready to dive into this week's content?
Thanks, Michael. Let's get into it.
Starting off with girls basketball, both teams go at it for the second time this season, with the Eagles once again taking home a victory. Sports reporter Kristen Chancellor was standing courtside with the inside scoop. Let's see what Coconino girls coach Cassie Schrader has to say about their win.
The Flagstaff Eagles and the Coconino Panthers girls basketball teams faced off for their second rivalry game of the season. The Eagles earned the sweep with an 80-65 win on Tuesday, exactly 3 weeks after opening their season at home with a 4-point win over their crosstown rivals. However, while both teams want to win, the rivalry goes beyond the score.
They, circle it on their calendar every single year. They want to win. We've been coming up short lately, but, they still got the will to win, and sometimes we just get outplayed.
Not only does this affect the players involved in the game, but it also plays a role in the community of Flagstaff itself. Flagstaff native coach Cassie Schrader remembers how important these games were to her growing up. Now she is lucky enough to be coaching on the sideline.
Ever since I was little, I've been watching these games. My dad's been reffing these games, been coming to them. Like I would skip nights out with my friends just to come to these games and watch. So it's crazy for me to just be on one of the benches for them. It's super important to me. I've, born and raised in Flagstaff, so this rivalry means a lot to me, a lot to my family, a lot to a bunch of my friends.
While this means a lot to the community, unfortunately due to COVID restrictions, family and friends are not able to attend these games. However, the pressure is lightened on these teams because of it.
Come into the game a little bit less nervous because, the parents aren't in the stands, they don't have friends up in the stands. It's definitely a weird environment, but I think that they take advantage of that, at least they have so far. They come out less nervous, they come out just a little bit more game focused.
With 7 games left in the regular season, this team is fired up and ready to continue fighting hard.
I'm hoping to keep competing with Flag High for the top of the region, just kind of take care of all of our region games, get up in the power points in our non-region games and just kind of make sure that we let other teams know that we're going to compete.
The Panthers hope to get one more shot at their rivals in the state playoffs. The Panthers are ranked 9th in the 4A conference with a 6-2 record, while the Eagles are ranked 5th with a 6-1 record.
The Flagstaff and Coconino girls teams both faced off earlier in the season. Flagstaff winning the first game by a total of 4 points, ending the game with the score of 42-38, set up for a hopeful victory this time around as well. And surely that's what they did. The Eagles have won all but one game against the Holbrook Roadrunners in the beginning of the season and stand first in the 4A Grand Canyon section. The rest of their season is looking great, but on the other hand, the Coconino girls seem to be following behind their rival. They're standing second in the 4A Grand Canyon section with the loss of 2 games, as Coach Schrader mentioned earlier. The lack of an audience is something that the team had in their favor as they felt less pressure from the community expectations built around the rivalry. Unfortunately, they fell short after losing to Flagstaff 80-65 after a hard fight, pushing until the end, making an effort to find the net as much as Flagstaff did.
The Flagstaff Eagles may have a double win against their rival team, but both of these talented teams are expected to head off into playoffs this season. Make sure to keep an eye out for what they have in store moving forward. Coming up, we will take a look at the Flagstaff boys basketball team and their rivalry game against Coconino. Stay tuned for more after the break.